Who's he?
Yeah, we are here in Burlington at the Radio Bean, and tonight is an unofficial memorial for Burlington icon, poet, playwright Josh Bridgman.
We're here to celebrate our friend Josh Bridgman.
Josh died from a heart attack in mid-December 2018 at his home in Burlington. Josh was 51 years old.
Thank you all for doing this. Thank you, Lee, for organizing this, and thank you for all the people who've shared their postings and their stories. It has meant the world to me to read through and have all these wonderful glimpses and stories that I can cherish.
I want to just start by saying that I love Josh Bridgman.
He loved movies, and he was a playwright, and he was a writer.
He actually asked me to be on stage and to give life to his words.
I saw Josh Bridgman without trench coat on Church Street once.
And I was walking, and every time I see Josh, I do the same thing. I'm like, Bridgman!
And I was like, oh, there's a legend. Just like, man, known Josh a long time, like everybody here, just from being a Burlingtonian.
When I see a lot of faces I haven't seen in a long time, and people that I love that are here in this room that love Josh. But I also think it's really cool how all of our different lives are intersecting at this one moment, and how Josh is the sort of nexus of that.
As we age as a community and as we rock, we do. And there is this legacy of eccentricity in this city.
Walking around in the summertime with a long black trench coat, middle of August.
So I remember him saying, the hero in a film noir always wore a trench coat.
People are used to me having crazy hair.
You can't just point down.
Yeah. Oh, do you want me to grab my trench coat?
Did his wave, because he had that too, And
Pretty much if you love Josh Bridgman, you're a unique person.
So that's what I appreciate about him, is his fundamental decency. He was just a decent person, always nice, never not nice, always genuine. And he always made me feel like I could be myself.
What? I mean, even as a kid, I really couldn't have many friends, so I could go to movies, I could read. Just given what my parents were doing, I couldn't just surprise them with people coming over. So, so I sort of had to, live in my own little world, so.
I love Josh with all of my heart. We've been through thick and thin. He's always been my protector.
He survived a traumatic childhood and turned his experience into art.
And he told me he was going to fly up into the air and stop the airplane with his hands.
The ideas he had even in 4th grade of multimedia stage productions with a stage full of TVs. And I'm like, Josh, what are you talking about? How are you going to do that? But he was there. He wanted to do improv. I was like, what's improv?
And we got the lights to be sort of cool. Well, for a high school, yeah.
If the Earth was ever going to be invaded, they would drive El Caminos. Have you heard Iggy and the Stooges? Have you heard this? And he introduced me to a bunch of irreverent music.
Josh was reading his poetry, and it was the first time in my life that I'd ever seen anyone in my age bracket be so audaciously artistic.
Some 20 years later, didn't change. He's just Josh.
I mean, one of my favorite quotes from Brian Eno was that he said he liked to work with people who ask questions.
I remember going to see Silent Invasion the first time, and it's just like, oh my God, you really did this. This is really incredible.
I have Josh to thank for bringing me into his world on Silent Invasion and able to play a small part in making his story a part of Burlington history.
In 2008, I wrote an adaptation of Nikolai Gogol's The Nose. Oh man, who's gonna be the nose? And then I was like, oh, well, it's gonna be Bridgman.
Josh got along really well with the cast members of the film. Ali Sheedy, Brian O'Halloran, and Justin Henry all found him to be really funny and smart, and they all enjoyed talking with him on the set. He was fearless when it came to challenging social convention. He even appeared naked on a public access show.
Once upon a time in Burlington, there was an illegal radio station that was very necessary. Josh and Rael had absolutely the weirdest show of anyone.
Well, my name's Richard, and I worked with Josh in the parking garage, and really, yeah, thank you.
Once at the parking garage where we both worked, a customer expressed surprise that a simple parking attendant would be reading War and Peace. The original Russian was better, was his repose.
You took Josh like he was, and that was a wonderful person, and he will be missed.
Josh had never been to college, but he was more well-read than almost anyone I knew who had.
But he was always talking about something genius and masterful, and every time I listened to him, I was like, man, I gotta learn about that movie.
If you ever tried to argue with him, he would just shut you down.
Josh was one of the most courageous people I've ever met in my life.
His strength of character and his self-assuredness and his effortless ability to just be himself.
He said to Fishman, "This is my house and I'll let you hang out here, but I want you to know I don't like fish." After years of bashing Fish for playing hippie music, here he was playing lead guitar in a punk band with John Fishman playing backup drums.
Oh, Pazensky, the Polish composer, I just got really into him because of Stanley Kubrick, who's also one of my heroes. Well, they all have their own individual voice and their own individual take on the world. And they're also willing to sort of mix things up. You'll have this horrifying thing, and then you'll have this funny thing. Because when you go to the theater, or when you go to a movie, I think it's a better or a surreal, like super real experience, you know? Like, was why I like also Alfred Hitchcock, Orson Welles. Like you're supposed to take somebody into the world, and I think like David Byrne and Lou Reed do that with their songs.
If you could make him laugh, it was good. His laugh was like this.
You'd be working, and then you'd hear like, and you'd be like, who's that guy again?
And his frequent laughter, a series of piercing, demented shrieks of glee.
Right?
Yeah. Do the Bridgman laugh.
Now you can pretend I'm here.
I gotta remember to use that for a play.
It's the best laugh ever. I don't know anybody with a laugh like that. I never will.
Green Candle Theater Company is committed. We will be doing Josh's Bridgman, the organization. So his trilogy will come to completion.
Josh is a planet, and there's an orbit around him, and there's an orbit around every single one of us. It's all the people that connect through us, and
he has set many seeds to grow in everybody else.
And he will forever be the smartest person in any bar in this goddamn town.
And he was too strange and strangely wonderful to forget.
I miss you, Mr. Bridgman.
Josh and his laugh were one of a kind, and Burlington will never be the same without him.
Burlington is full of really, really, really creative people. Often, some of them are just too eccentric to figure out how to go from the notebook to the stage, and we all know those people, whether they're musicians or they're playwrights or puppeteers or whatever they are, and let's try to help each other make that happen by connecting those dots for people.
We're upstairs.
Yeah.